weak words. Trouble is weak. It's not trouble, it's calamity. For I have uttered a vow to the Lord, and I cannot retract. And she understands very well his vow. She doesn't need commentaries. She lives in ancient Israel, and she knows what he means. Excuse me? Oh, men of honor are dangerous people. You follow me? Men of honor are bowed by their honor, by their word. And he says, if I said, I cannot. This is worth retracting. His vow is worse than killing his daughter. Here you see the person. He's open to us. We can see him. He's not crazy. He is a primitive warrior. Now let's hear what she says. And she's a very worthy daughter of her heroic father. And she says to him, ותאמר אליו, אבי, פצית את פיך אל אדוני, עשה לי כאשר יצא מפיך. אחרי אשר עשה לך אדוני נקמות מאויביך, מבני עמון. She says to him, verse 36, Father, you said, you have uttered a vow to the Lord. Do to me as you have vowed, seeing that the Lord has vindicated you against your enemies, the Ammonites. In other words, God has done his share. Now you cannot escape doing your share. God has delivered you out of the hands of the Ammonites, and you made a vow. So do to me what you have vowed. She is a real heroine. She's crazy. I agree with you. Who recorded it? I get the Nobel Prize if I can answer you. You see, this person is so moved by this story that he cannot sit still without getting from me a medical statement that this is only a story and did not happen, because otherwise he will faint. Isn't that touching? He cannot take the story. I can't tell you whether it happened or not. What I know is that in the Bible it's told as a real story, and you are supposed to be shaken by it without any escapes. This is what I can tell you. I'm an expert on words, not on history. On stories, not on... How can I tell you? Nobody can tell you. But this is really what the Bible is about. To speak about life as it is. And this girl, who was a daughter of a very special warrior, and was very proud of her father, and knew that the word of a warrior is a word. This is the worst thing he can do, is retreat from his promise, from his vow to the Lord. He's not a person in the shuk who doesn't stand behind his words. He's a great man. But she continues. In Hebrew it says, she doesn't, this is not the end of what she says. ותאמר אל אביה, יעשה לי הדבר הזה, הרפה ממני 2 חודשים, ואלכה וירדתי על ההרים, ואבכה על בתולי, אנוכי ורעותי. So she asked him in verse 37, she further said to her father, let this be done for me. Let me for 2 months, and I will go with my companions and lament upon the hills, and there bewail my maidenhood. My virginity. In Hebrew it says my virginity. I am quite a little, so you can think about what it means. Really. She said, I do what you want me to do. I will step alone on altar. But I have a request. Give me 2 months to go with my companions, Na'arotai, with girls, with maidens, to the mountains. And for 2 months we will bewail, bemoan the fact that I will die childless. Now, I always say to my students, you have to close the book in crucial points and ask yourself, what will Jephthah the bastard do? Will he agree or not? Will he trust his daughter? Or say, no, 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 you want to escape me, and I will keep my word while be unable to keep it. Isn't that a nice trick? Wonderful idea, no? She will evaporate. She will go to Eretz Canaan, to the western side of the Jordan. What an idea, clever girl, isn't she? Vayomer lechi. And he said, go. Which means that he trusted her totally. You see, the person has light and darkness in his personality. This is the truth of the story. Persons are a mixture of good and bad traits. He knows that she deserves these 2 months. And he trusts her completely. And if you are not sure, we'll read the next verse. Vayomer lechi. One word he said, go, or you may go. וישלח אותה 2 חודשים, ותלך היא ורעותיה, ותבקל בתוליה על ההרים, והיא מקץ 2 חודשים, ותשב אל אביה, ויעש לה את נדרו אשר נדר, והיא לא ידעה איש, ותהי חוק בישראל. ימים ימימה תלכנה בנות ישראל לתנות לבת יפתח הגלעדי, 4 ימים בשנה. Let's read it in English. 38. And he said, go. Go, he replied. He let her go for 2 months, which means that he made a strict condition. It's 2 months and not 1 day more. He let her go for 2 months. And she and her companions went and bewailed her maidenhood upon the hills. After 2 months' time, she returned to her father, and he did to her as he had vowed. She had never known a man, so it became custom in Israel for the maidens of Israel to go there every year for 4 days in the year and chant dirges for the daughter of Jephthah the Gileadite. You know that in biblical Hebrew, the noun zachar, male, is derived from the root zachor, which means to remember. Because we live on in our male offsprings. Hazachar hu zecher. The zachar, the male child, is our memory. So every man and woman want to have male children. Much stronger, more so than in modern times. They are really very, very interested. This is their chief, this is how they are tested. Like in China, in contemporary China, really. They murder girls in order to have male offspring because of this law of 1 child. Anyway, she says, give me 2 months to bewail my virginity. And this becomes a custom in Israel. And she will be remembered not because of her offsprings, which she does not have, but because of this custom that 4 days in the year young women go out into the mountains and remember the horrible fate of Bat Yiftach. This is a happy ending. A true biblical happy ending, which says, right, she doesn't have a zecher. No, she doesn't have a zachar. But she had a real zecher. Because the children of Israel were so mature, or the women of Israel, so mature, so sophisticated, that they found a way to commemorate this wonderful woman, this courageous woman, by a custom, not by a real house. This is how it ends. Excuse me, I don't hear. You have to speak louder. I don't know. Really, I don't. I wish I could say. In many biblical narratives, and we'll speak about this Hashem next week, the names of women are not told, are not remembered. But this is a separate theme. I will devote some 5 minutes to this next week. Anyway, we don't know her name, but we know that there was a custom in Israel. Bakasha? You mean there is no problem? Oh, the problem is not so tough as I said, because God did not demand this sacrifice. This is very true. I want only to speak about this in a little more abstract terms. I ask, why did not God arrange it that the daughter of Yiftach would not be sacrificed? Right? And I want to make the first statement that the sacrifice of another person who is innocent, if it would be, let's say, an old man from the elders of Israel, he would come out, give a lot of kavod to Yiftach, and then Yiftach would say, I made a vow and I sacrificed you. This would be a regular story. I believe that in this case, Yiftach would never have known that he made a sin. If God would exchange his daughter for a stranger, for another person, Yiftach would think that he was doing the right thing. He was giving up his own honor for the sake of God. So God has to make clear to Yiftach what he's doing. It's human sacrifice, and you cannot express yourself religiously on the expense of the life of another person. This is totally unacceptable. So if you made such wild vows, I will show you how wild your vow really is and what it is and what it means, because it will be painful to you. So to speak, God must deliver his daughter into his hands. In the Akeida, and I believe that the Akeida is the background to understand our story, Abraham says, Abraham and Yitzchak go together, וילכו שניהם יחדיו. As Rashi says, one-heartedly. It's one heart. And Abraham says, Hineni, you remember from last year, to God, and he says, Hineni to his son. He has a double commitment, an equal double commitment to God and to his son. I mean, God sees that he's really prepared to do, how would you say, my dear friend? To transgress lo tirtzach for his sake. The same question is about the Akedah. If Abraham is prepared to give up his conscience, his understanding, his logic, everything, his son, his future, if Abraham is able to do this or prepared to do this, God says, I'm satisfied. It's more now, I have to teach you something else, not only that you are my obedient servant, but I don't want child sacrifice. Al tishlach yadcha el anar v'al ta'as lo me'uma. I forbid you to do it. I give you a ram. This is the wonderful story of the Akeida. But here, so what do we learn from the Akeida? The child sacrifice, although we are prepared to give sacrifices, human sacrifices, like our neighbors, our God does not allow us to do it. This is the gist of the Akeida. We are not less religious than our neighbors. Our forefathers agreed or complied to do what you demanded, but I, God, am different from all these idols. I don't want you to sacrifice a child. So they both of them return home peacefully. It's a true happy ending. In our story, God, and this is a crucial sentence of all my lecture, the story tells us that God does not deliver us from our own sins. It's an important lesson, isn't it? You can't say, I won't prepare for, how do you say, mechabe esh, and God will save us from a fire in the Carmel. No. You don't prefer fire machines, He won't save us from our own mistakes, and not from our sins. I think the expectation that God will save us from our sins is a wrong assumption in this story. It's wrong in life and it's wrong in the story. How can we expect God to correct our